Today's video lecture is on the Hundred Years' War. One of the causes of the Hundred Years' War was controversy over succession. At this time, the king had died and he didn't have a male heir, so it was between two choices: Philip, his cousin, or King Edward of England. And ultimately, in 1340, King Edward claimed the title King of France. Another issue was about land. At the time, some of the land within France belonged to English kings, and King Edward was actually a vassal of Philip's, holding sizable French territories as a fief for the King of France. So we're seeing lands being disputed over. There was also controversy over an area called Flanders, and this is a wool industry, and the Flanders wants its independence from French control, and so they go to England for help. Another cause is a struggle for national identity. So at this time, France was not a united country before the war began. The French king only controlled about half the country. The other was controlled by England and other countries. The Hundred Years' War was a series of short raids and expeditions punctuated by a few major battles marked off by truces or ineffective treaties. So the relative strengths of each country dictated the sporadic nature of the struggle. So it's an ongoing, that's why they call it the Hundred Years' War, and it's a constant struggle between France and England. The French had some advantages over the English. They had a larger population, about 16 million. They had far richer and more populous land, so because they had more land to farm, they were a little more richer. And at one point, the French fielded an army of over 50,000. At most, the British army was about 32,000. And on the other side, the British had some advantages that the French did not. They had weapons technology. They had successful strategies. They avoided pitched battles. They were engaging in quick, profitable raids. Basically, they were thinking, steal what you can, destroy everything else, capture enemy knights, and hold them for ransom. So Britain's strategies were a little more effective in that way. One of Britain's advantages was, again, their weapons technologies, which included the longbow, and you see that at the top picture there. And the use of the longbow is important because the arrows had more penetrating power than a bolt from the crossbow, which is the little one on the bottom. It said that you could pierce an inch of wood or the armor of a knight at about 200 yards, and a longbow could be fired more rapidly with 6 arrows per minute compared to a crossbow. So they were more effective in battle. Here you see a illustration of the British using the longbows in battle. There was some French confusion. The English captured the French king, John II, and France was now ruled by the Estates General, who was a representative council of townspeople and nobles. This job was created in 1355, and its purpose was secure funds for the war. So they're looking to tax people, they're looking to sell things for money. But in theory, the French king could not levy taxes on his own, so they're using these estate generals to get around that tax law. There was some trouble in England during this time as well. There was a peasant revolt in 1381, which was put down by King Richard II. And after charges of tyranny, Richard II was forced to abdicate the throne in 1399. Sorry, that's a typo. 1300 should say 1399. At the time, Parliament elected Henry IV, the first ruler of the House of Lancaster. Henry avoided war taxes. He was careful not to alienate the nobility, and therefore a truce was signed ending the French and British hostilities, at least for the time being. King Henry V renewed his family's claim to the French throne. At Agincourt in 1415, the English, led by Henry himself, goaded a larger French army into attacking a fortified English position. With the aid of the Dukes of Burgundy, Henry gained control over Normandy, Paris, and much of northern France. Now, Charles VI's son was declared illegitimate and was disinherited, and therefore Henry V, who had married Catherine, the daughter of Charles VI, was declared the legitimate heir to the French throne. A final English victory seemed assured, but both Charles VI and Henry V both died in 1422. This left Henry's infant son, Henry VI, to inherit both the French and the English throne. With the death of the two kings, we're finding the final stages of the 100 Years' War. Now, it seems that right now the land is firmly in British hands. However, the French decide to reverse the situation, and in 1429, with the aid of the mysterious Joan of Arc, the French King Charles VII was able to raise an English siege of Orleans. This began the reconquest of the north of France. Joan of Arc was an important person in the 100 Years' War. She was the daughter of a prosperous peasant from an area of Burgundy that had suffered under the English rule. Like many medieval mystics, she reported regular visions of divine revelation. Her voices told her to go to the king and assist him driving out the English. She dressed like a man and was Charles' most charismatic and feared military leader.
Joan of Arc?
What?
Are you Joan of Arc?
Yeah.
I am a vision of St. Michael. I've been sent by God to find you.
Who's the other one?
No, seriously? You've been chosen to lead the French army in a righteous battle against the oppressive English invaders.
Nah, there must have been a mix-up.
Why would you say that?
Well, because A, I'm just an illiterate peasant, C, I'm a girl, and A, I'm 14. I mean, sweeping up and donning socks, I can do, but military leadership, not so much.
Well, he definitely said. I mean, I wrote it on my hand and everything.
Are you sure it wasn't Joan of Arc, the bloke next door?
Someone call.
Judd, have you been waiting on God to call on you to lead France in a glorious victory against the English?
Yes, I have. No, look, it definitely says Joan. Right.
Sorry, John. False alarm.
Okay. Well, I'm just next door if you need me, so... Bye.
Stay cool.
Yeah. Sorry, mate.
So, what am I supposed to do?
Well, you know, convene with God, predict the future, lead the French army to glorious victory, and restore the king to his throne.
Bit sweeping up?
Bet, yeah.
Okay. Who will darn on the villagers' socks?
Oh, I'm sure we'll think of something.
Ow! This is definitely what God wants. I mean, look...
Okay, so Joan of Arc was just made up and silly, but Joan of Arc, well, she was real and went on to defeat the English at Orleans in 1429. Sadly, she was eventually captured by the English, who claimed she was a witch, yeah, and they burned her at the stake. Well, what do you expect? This is horrible Histories.
Joan of Arc became an inspiration and brought a sense of national identity and self-confidence to the people of France. With her aid, the king was crowned at Rennes. Unfortunately, Joan of Arc was captured during an attack on Paris and fell into English hands. And because of her unnatural dress, meaning she was dressed as a man, and claim to divine guidance, she was condemned as a witch and burned as a heretic in 1432. She instantly became a symbol of the French resistance. Despite Joan of Arc's capture, the French continued to advance on England. By 1450, the English had lost all of their major centers except Calais. In 1453, the French armies captured an English-held fortress, and this became the last battle of the war. There was no treaty signed, only an ending of the fighting. As a result of the 100 Years' War, France becomes unified. Please be sure to pause and answer the response questions to be shared in class tomorrow.